I may have just won the lottery. You guys tell me. I was given a couple boxes of cameras and stuff. I have no idea what I've got until I open it up, and I'm going to open it up and show you guys what I received. And some of this stuff is pretty rare. Let's check it out. A couple months ago, one of my neighbors gave me a call and said that they had a bunch of old camera equipment that they wanted to get rid of. Asked me if I'd be interested in it, and I said, sure, what the heck. So I come home one day and there was a couple of boxes sitting at my door, a couple bags actually. One bag there, and one bag there. I'm told this is just a kit, an accessory kit, like a bag and stuff, but let's see what is in here. It looks like there might be a few things in here that might be of interest. Let's start with this bag here. It's got a bunch of stuff in it. It's like a suction cup mount for something. What is this? Sealed. Welcome to the world of digital photography. It's never been opened. Is it a DVD or a CD? It might be a CD. Oh, DVD. Never even been opened. What else is in here? Well, there's a couple cameras. Oh, there's an Icon. A Nikon Coolpix. Wow. I wonder if any of this stuff works. I tell you, this is just a Discman. Manuals. Electronic flash, a sun pack. Another electronic flash. Another electronic flash. This thing weighs a bit. This is an Icon film camera. I think it's a film. Yeah, it's a film camera. How does it open? I guess you open it like this. I don't even know how this thing opens. Looks like batteries have gone bad in it. That means that's a bad sign. And yeah, it's a 35mm film camera. Well, it's got to be worth something. Lens is there. The zoom lens. Okay, what else is in here? Nikon software for Coolpix. What else is in this bag here? Another flash. Power supply for a Sony video camera. Motorola USB charger, standard mini USB. Another portable disc player. A European adapter for an Apple product. It's got the European plug on it. What do we got in here? This looks to be another camera. Woohoo! I'm just. This is a treasure trove of cameras. Holy crap! What is this thing? Wow! Little 35mm bellows type camera. I wasn't expecting that to pop out. What is this thing? This is actually a medium format. Looks like it's seen better days. Won't stay shut. What brand is this? Let's get this thing close up here. Agfa? Looks like an Agfa. Yep. AGFA. Made in Germany. German engineering at its finest. Cool. This is a rare piece. I've never seen one of these. I'm sure others have. People are laughing, saying, oh, my grandfather had one of those. I've never seen one of these ones, personally. So this one opens like this, and this uses a, oh, boy, it's got a roll of film in it. Exposed, fold under before sealing. So this has got a roll of film in it still, from whoever took this film. You pop the film out like that. And I'm sure that this film is probably long since expired, so I doubt that that might be worth trying to get this thing processed just to see whether there's anything on it. I'm going to pry this out. There we go. So normally what happens is once you expose your roll of film, you sealed this off and you sealed it up. You nicked it, sealed that, and then you sent this off to the processing lab, and they would open this up and run it through. And you typically have about, I don't know, maybe 12 photos, 12 exposures, I think. This is I think this is a 120 size film. It's a square, it's a 2x2 negative, so this would be called a medium format camera. So in other words, something like this, if the camera is working, would actually produce a really good sharp picture, sharper than 35mm, because it's a 2" by 2" negative. Now, shutter release on here should operate this. That's the shutter speed. I think that's the shutter speed. If I take it to B, it should stay open. Okay, that's how you set. That's how you do it. You pull this lever back. That's the shutter time. So 1/250th of a second. You prime the shutter, and there you go. This shutter release pushes this lever right down here. See, pushes that. So when that lever gets pushed, the shutter opens. And if I dial this back to, say, 1 second down there and prime it, you'll see the shutter open for 1 second. All mechanical. Cool, huh? The lens looks pretty cloudy on this. If we look in from the back, if I open it up, I'll set it to B, which is a full exposure, and open the lens up, and it'll stay open until I release the shutter release. So with the back open, I can trigger this. I'll have the aperture all the way open at f4.5, and I've got it in B, which is a manual mode. It should stay open until I release the shutter. I gotta trick it into thinking that there we go, now it's open. So if I look through the lens, I can actually see through the lens at the front. And well, the lens itself looks to be pretty dirty. There's dirt inside the lens elements. If I shine a light into it, for example, you can probably see this if I can get the camera on here. The lens itself is, well, yeah, you can see all the dirt in there. See the dirt internally inside the lens? But there, focus it on my fingerprints. But the lens itself is certainly needs to be cleaned. I don't think it's just on. It might be on the surface of the lens, but I think it might just be on the surface here where all the dirt is. But you can see that lens would not make for very good pictures unless this thing's overhauled. That lens certainly does need to be cleaned. It's pretty grimy, but still, as a conversation piece, this would just be perfect. It will be sitting with my old cameras that I've got, because I'll even probably just keep the roll of film and sit next to it just as a display piece, because this is kind of cool. I mean, I don't know what something like this is worth. It might be worth something to a collector. This doesn't close. There's the latch over here. There's a latch here is not working. I don't know whether the clip is broken or it's bent, but you can see what it does is this releases. And there's a little tab up here that's supposed to, when you close this down, it's supposed to lock that in place to keep the lens clean, but it doesn't. And you can see all the wear on here just from years and years of sitting around and abuse. It's a rangefinder camera. You look through the top here and you basically see through the front there. So that gives you a rough representation of what you are going to take a picture of. I think this is a lock. Is this a lock? I'm not sure. Remote. This is probably for a remote shutter release. That's again the one that would open up the bellows if it was working. But anyway, that's kind of a cool Agfa Joslet. That's the brand, the model, Joslet. Made in Germany. Anyway, cool. Okay. That was an interesting find. I'll put that one back in its case for now for safekeeping. Although if I put it on display, obviously I won't have it on in its case because it kind of looks silly in this brown case. But anyway, that's that one. Close this up and just we have this little flash unit, a Seiko flash, and this would plug into the cameras because all the old ones, they did not have a hot shoe. You actually plugged it into the camera and that triggered the flash when the shutter was released. And I wonder if this thing works. Probably not. At least they didn't leave batteries in it. It takes 2 AA batteries. We can certainly try this out and see whether it actually works. It's a couple AA batteries. I've got a couple of rechargeable batteries here, so we'll put one in that way and the other one in that way and put the top cover on and see whether this thing will charge up. I'd be surprised if it still works, but I hear it buzzing. Usually there's a little indicator light that comes on when it's fully charged. Looks like there was a recharger that you could plug in here to charge it up. It would charge it when it was off. 100 to 120 volts. Will it flash? Ah, it does. So it works. Not a very bright flash, but it's still, after all these years, this thing still flashes. Now I'm seeing spots. I guess it was a little brighter than I thought. Okay, so the flash works. That's kind of cool. I don't know what I'd have a use for that for, but the flash does work. Even has the destruction manual. Wonder what year this is. Does it say? There it is, complete with its little pouch. Let's see what else we got here. Now we got another flash. This one here is this is another electronic flash. This is a sun pack. Wonder if this one works. Well, we'll just try it and see. I'm sure it takes AA battery. Oh, this one's got batteries in it. You know what that means, right? They're probably corroded and they're Dura crap. Have they leaked? I'm letting the camera run because I figure some of you guys might be interested in this haul that I got here. Okay, so this says batteries were good to March 2015, and it's now 2023. So I doubt very much whether there'll be any juice whatsoever left in these batteries, but we can certainly see. They haven't leaked. They must have been made in USA. Oh yes, definitely made in USA, because if they were new batteries, they not only would they still have a charge in them, but they would be leaking. But yeah, completely dead, 0.034 volts. I say that about the new ones because I've run into more new batteries that are leaking, but they still have a full charge. You know, these ones here have been dead probably for years, and yet they have not leaked. All right, let's just try this this flash with the fully charged nickel metal hydride batteries. Oh, these are nickel cadmium batteries, even older. They still work. Unbelievable. I just found these on my bench. I don't know where they came from, but they're nickel cadmium. Okay, I got a ready light lighting up here. It's glowing, so I guess when I push the test button, we can be blinded. There we go. It works. Okay, so that flash works too. With my old nickel cadmium batteries from Sun Energy, 500 milliamps. I don't know how old these are, made in Japan, but these have been sitting on my bench for years, and I just charged them up today. That's why they've got a charge in them, because I just charged them. So this one also appears to work. Came with a cord that would, I guess this one may have had a hot shoe. This one had a hot shoe, you see. Connector on a pin on the bottom and a connector there, and if you didn't have a camera with a hot shoe, you used the add-on cable. Nikon. This one is an F801, and this is an SLR, of course. I'm curious as to whether this camera is going to work. I see battery corrosion, so good chance that there's batteries in here and they've leaked all over the inside of it, and they've probably ruined this camera, but we'll see. So off comes the battery. Ugh. Yeah. Yeah, it's falling apart. The battery compartment is actually broken. It's falling right apart, but yeah, this is what happens when you leave batteries and things. Especially when you use a Safeway Select Premium Quality Alkaline battery. Amongst other things. Yeah. So, this is FUBAR. It probably could be repaired, but I'm not going to tackle that today. Anyway, another Safeway Select battery, and then this one here is a Energizer Titanium. Is this lithium or is this alkaline? It says do not install backwards. AA format. This is also an alkaline. So they didn't mix them with lithiums, but these ones leaked and have caused big problems on that unit. The battery terminals are all falling out of this battery pack. Whether this is fixable or not, that is yet to be seen. There's also some corrosion down in the camera itself, so battery acid likely has gotten into the camera, and that's unfortunate because it's probably made this camera a lost cause. So I'm just going to throw the dead battery compartment back in it for now, and we'll just set this one aside because to say it's hate to see people that do this with their cameras and stuff. They leave batteries in. They tell you not to leave batteries in for a reason. Remember the days back in the days when we used to have a battery company? It was called Rayovac, and was it Rayovac? I think it was Rayovac, or was it Everready? One of them. Might have been Everready. They had the red with the cat on it. 9 lives. Anyway, there was a battery guarantee that said, if this device leaks and ruins your device, send the device to us. I think it was Union Carbide. Who was that? Was that that was the Energizer people, I think now. But anyway, get the battery acid on the floor. Sodium hydroxide or whatever it is that they put in the batteries. Get it on me too. Yeah, they used to guarantee the batteries. If they leaked and did any damage, they would repair or replace the device. You wouldn't see them doing that these days. They would just say, too bad, so sad, you're an idiot. Anyway, there's this camera. Little Nikon SLR with a 70 to 210 millimeter f1.4 or 1.4 to 5.6 zoom lens. There's the focus there and the zoom, 70 to 210. What's next here? We got another old vintage camera for your viewing pleasure. What do we have this time? This time we have This one's a Seiko MX, a Century 35. Wow, another old one, 35mm rangefinder. This camera could likely still work too. Kowa is the brand of this one. And to load the film in this, there should be a button or something to open the back. I'm sure that the film has been rewound and removed off of this one. Yeah, it's been rewound because you turn that to rewind it. You usually pull, and then once you pull, you can pull another lever and it will, the back will pop open like that to load the film. It's made for Graphics Incorporated by Kowa Optical Works in Nagano, Japan. And it says, what's it say on here? It's got some writing on there. Maybe a service date, 1977 maybe, was serviced. It's hard to tell. Anyway, yeah, take your picture and you advance the film, just like that. Lock it in place. Once it's locked, it won't open. I guess it will. Will it open? Yeah, it'll open. So that you don't have to pull this. Some of them you have to pull this up to unlock it. But film a camera like this, you take your pictures. Right when you get to the end of the film, and of course every time you advance it, this will turn with the film. And once you get to the end, there'll be a button that you push to rewind the film. It's typically right there. You push the rewind button in, and remember they would lock. Because it would stop. Then you push your lock button in, which would release the film, and then you would wind it back. You'd wind your film all the way back, and your little film counter here would go backwards when it was in rewind. So if I open this, so when you rewind it, normally this locks so you can't turn it back, but when you push the rewind button in on the bottom, that releases this. So you have to basically hold it, and while you're rewinding this, your film rewinds back. Surprised it hasn't reset the counter. But you rewind your film all the way back, open it, and then when you open it, it should reset, the counter should reset. Or do you have to do it manually? Some of these you had to actually turn them manually back. It tells you how many pictures you got left, you see. It tells I got 16 photos. Now I've got 15. You see the red dot. Of course, what if you didn't put a 36 exposure roll in? What if you put a 24 or a 12? It doesn't seem to make a lot of sense, does it? Now it says I got zero pictures left. Okay, so now it's telling me I got 36, but how do we set this? Can we turn this? Oh, you know what? We can turn this. We can push it and turn it. That's how you set it. If you put a 24 exposure roll in, you gotta turn this to 24. And then when you start taking pictures, it starts counting down. Pretty basic. Anyway, that's this one. Another nice little camera that I can put on display. Have to make some more shelves to display them. Again, another little collector's piece. Probably not worth a lot of money. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is worth something, but it'll look nice on my collector's, on my shelf. Another camera. What do we got here? This one's Zeiss. Well, it says Zeiss. Here it is. And it's also made in Germany. And the lens on this one also looks to be in pretty bad shape. This is a Zeiss Icon. Contina. Anyone who knows anything about cameras knows that this is a prestige little piece of gear. Wow. Got a lens hood on there as well, and you can take this front piece off the lens. This allows you to set your focus, and then you've got your speed and your f-stop. And this one's got a light meter on it. You see right here, this one's got a light meter. Light meter's on the front right there. See it moving when I cover it up. So this tells you when your light is in the correct exposure. So what you do is you adjust this little dot and put it where the light meter is, and that sets your exposure, sets your aperture. And then you just take your picture like that and wind it to the next picture, just like that. And this one has a film in it. Wow, I just ruined whatever was on there. I was not expecting a film to be in this camera, but this one has a film. I'm sure the film is no good. I wonder if there's any pictures on it, or whether it's a new. It might even be right at the beginning. It doesn't look like it's been used. It looks like maybe it's had 5 pictures taken on it. Oh well. Fuji ASA 100. I don't think it would be taking many good pictures anyway. Look at that lens. That lens is really gungy. And then that goes like that to put it in its case. This is video me go to multiple parts because this is going to drag on. I got so much stuff to show you guys. This is kind of like a trip to the candy store where everything's free. It's got the owner's manual as well in there. Depth of field chart, film type indicator. Wonder if there's a date on this. Releasing and cocking the shutter. Conversion tables for the different types of film. Yeah, I'm sure there's a few photographers right now that are just watching this video, and there's puddles on the floor because they know what these little cameras are worth. They're getting kind of rare. I was not expecting that, to be adding that to my collection. I may actually have to clean up that lens and load a roll of film in it and see how this takes pictures, how well it works. There's another camera in this bag. What do we have here? This one's quite heavy. It's by Cinemax. This is an 8mm film camera. I think it's an 8mm. Yeah, this is 8mm. It's either 8 or 16. This would be 8mm. You wind it up, and then you push the button to shoot. And you can shoot at 8, 12, 16, 24, 32, or 48 frames. And on the back here there'll be a button or something to release the shutter right there. Flick that down. This has a turret lens, so you can change to 3 different lenses. A wide angle, a normal angle, and a telephoto. And you look through, and there's another little, this is a little rangefinder here, so when you look through the back of the camera, you see what the lens is going to see, complete with all the dirt. So I don't know if I can get a shot of that with my video camera, but I don't know if I can shoot through this, but it's got the 3 different lenses for wide, standard, and telephoto. And then of course you've got to focus for each one. So you have to worry about focusing each lens. And it looks like the lenses are even loose on this one. That lens is anyway. That's kind of cool. You didn't see a lot of cameras like this with the turret lenses. The cameras I'm more familiar with ended up with zoom lenses. This is a little earlier version, or no lens. Now, I don't think there's going to be any film in this thing, but and there is film in here. What am I finding? This is another roll of film that's in here, but there's a roll of film that is obviously no good at this point because, first of all, it would be long expired, but you'd never be able to get something like this processed just because, well, they haven't processed 8mm film. Even Super 8, you can get Super 8 film processed, but they haven't processed 8mm film in probably 60 years. Super 8 came out in the early 60s. And regular 8 got phased out soon after that. So, but a camera like this, you loaded your roll of film, you exposed your film, and then you took the reel out and you turned the reel over, and you loaded it back in again, and you threaded it through the camera, and you ran it through the camera a second time, because it was a 16mm film that was exposed twice for 8mm. And then what happened is you sent the film off to Kodak. Kodak would process the film, and then they would split the film down the middle, and splice the 2 ends together. And what you got back was a 50-foot roll of 8mm film. This is a 25-foot roll of 16mm full spool. So you put it tells you how to load it here. You put the full spool on like that, and then you went around like this, and then you took it onto the empty spool. You wound it around this way. So you would spool the film into here. And of course, you had to do this in the dark too. If you loaded your camera in the light, you ruined your film. Like when you turned your film around, you actually had to do this in the dark. So you spooled your film on to the take-up spool. You put the film back down through here, loaded your take-up spool on, and then you locked your gate in place. I think that automatically locks when I close the back. That locks that gate in place, and then you're ready to film. And then to film, you pull down the shutter release on here, wherever it is. I think the spring on this is. I think the spring is shot. Maybe not. You wind it this way. Don't know how this thing works. There we go. So you add a lock on there. Undo the lock, and when you do that, the film on this side and then of course your spring runs down, and you gotta stop, and you gotta wind the camera up again. Or is it this way? I forget. It's this way. You wind up the spring, and then you could film some more, and you could change your speed. If you wanted to film at 8 frames a second, you could turn it down, film at 8 frames a second, or if you wanted to create slow-mo, you could crank it up to 48 frames per second, and if you had enough wind in your spring, it would just go by really quick. just like that. Anyway, film camera. That's another one for my collection to show off. It even had the optional trigger release, which you put on the bottom, and you flip that up like that and around there, and you had to turn that lock off. But you flip that up around like that, and then when you pulled that, it would start filming. So you turn your speed back down to whatever speed you're going to film at. You're holding the camera, hold it up to your eye, and then you could, well, if your trigger release didn't break, you could there we go. Got a lock on here as well. Anyway, I think I'm going to end this one now because this one's gone on long enough. We'll get to the digital cameras and what's in the other box in the next part. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in part 2 as I examine the rest of this haul of old cameras. Also, I found in there is a coin. So this is a 1867 Confederation, 1982 Constitution. It's a Canadian dollar, 1982 Queen Elizabeth. That has to be also a collector's piece. It's worth $1, but still, I haven't seen one of these either. So, something else to add to my collection.